I'll make a decision.
Tonight, we examine the significance of the GFA's decision to extend the presidential term limit and its potential impact on Ghanaian football here on Top Story. Well, Top Stories, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies, and also by Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brice. Now, the Ghana Football Association has made a landmark decision voting overwhelmingly to extend the presidential term limit from 2 to 3 terms. Now, the amendment alters the 2019 GFA statute, which previously capped the presidency at 2 4-year terms. This change, approved by 114 delegates out of the 124 at the 31st Ordinary Congress in Pram Pram, allows the president to potentially serve up to 12 years, sparking debate about leadership continuity and fresh perspectives in Ghanaian football. The term limit extension to 3 terms could also mean the current GFA president, Kurt Edwin Simcom Okreku, who has been in office since 2019, will be eligible to seek a 3rd term when his current mandate ends in 2027. Joy Sports' Victor Achutamaklu has been covering this particular Congress and is joining me with more from the Congress grounds. Victor, first, ahead of this Congress, we heard loud opposing voices. Yet, the proposal for a 3 terms presidential tenure has received overwhelming support. 114 delegates out of 124 voted for it. Tell us more.
But Kojo, you were right when you say that there was a bit of opposition to this. In fact, they went as far as an attempt to secure an interlocutory injunction against today's Congress. It was filed by former Premier League side in Faisal Davies, which is bankrolled by Alaji Karim Group. That was on Friday. Unfortunately for them, they were not able to serve that injunction on the Ghana Football Association and essentially prevent today's exercise. So, with that out of the way, or with their failure to injunct the exercise, what the last saving grace that they would have had would have been to lobby and ensure that they are able to sway the voting numbers in their favor. Well, if the outcome of today's voting at Congress is anything to go by, they really did not make a lot of progress in that regard because up to 91.14% of the 123 delegates or members of the Ghana Football Association have confirmed today voted in favor of the proposal to extend the term limit of the GFA.
Do I still have Victor on the line? Okay. Victor Achutamaklo is our man on the ground, and we will be touching base with him again to understand what exactly happened. But his point is that the opposition that sought to injunct this particular, Congress did not go on. And okay, Victor has dropped there, but we'll get him. And again, he says that particular effort to oppose the amendment they were seeking to do, they could not rally a lot of the people because, as you saw in that vote today, the effort did very little to stop the people who were proposing for the extension to have their way. We'll be talking to him. We'll bring him back shortly. Again, we'll be talking to a football administrator who has been in football for quite some time to understand what we need to do. Again, after that, we'll take you to Parliament okay, so we have Victor Achutamaklo again on the line. Let me go back to you. Victor, you're making a point when the line tripped. Hello, Victor. Okay, Victor, I guess I have you. You're making a point about the opposition having very little impact on what happened today.
Well, they really did not make any progress if the numbers are anything to go by because there was the effort to And I don't know if you caught that part in my earlier submission. There was an attempt to injunct the process.
Yes, I
The
got that
five
bit.
of them who are in the Division 1 League applied for an injunction against today's exercising, but they could not serve the GFA. The other aspect, or the last thing for them to do, would have been to lobby and sway the voting numbers in favor and away from the proponents of that proposal. Well, the outcome of today's Congress is anything to go by. It appears their message was not received by the members of the GFA because in possibly the biggest endorsement of any proposal under the current regime, they had 91.14% of the 123 members of the Ghana Football Association who turned up at Congress today. So they have essentially unanimously accepted that. Now, consequently, the GSA president, there were concerns that they are essentially pushing out this vote so that he can run for his third term. We put that question to him in the press conference after Congress, and he described that question as premature, stating that even though there are no laws that bar him from contesting for the elections again, if he passes the fit and proper test, if he is minded to, at the moment, he does not have any intentions of running for the election. But he said any such calls are premature.
Because you see, the high life music is dead in Ghana, right? Is it?
It's premature. We have, at the minute, almost 2.5 years to serve the Ghanaian game. And when it comes to that time, I'll make a decision. Just like many other people who are eligible to make a decision and to contest. Okay, so this should not be a topic for us. What should be a topic is how we handle the new wind that is blowing around our domestic game, the high level of investment that the FA has worked to bring it to a reality, and how well our clubs can respond to our current situation in our attempt to develop the Ghanaian game. So that was Kurt Okreku there, on this particular matter. Now, we will be bringing in some football administrators to seek their perspectives on this particular matter. But let me take you to Parliament now and bring in a Member of Parliament for Otafo and ranking member on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth and Sports, Vincent Eko Asifua. Now, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. You have publicly opposed the extension of the GFA presidential tenure, arguing it is a grand scheme to extend the tenure of the current president. But now it has been approved by Congress. What's your initial reaction to this?
Well, good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers. I suspected this, and I also anticipated that this was going to happen, and that is how come I raised red flags to send some signal to the football community that this is unacceptable. Unfortunately, because of monetization and maybe an attempt to immortalize the presidential position in GFA, they have been successful. I feel that it's a very dark day in our football. It is an affront to the normalization committee in 2019 when they adopted the GFA statute. Mind you, after the announced expose, we needed to make sure that we sanctify our football. It was on that basis that the normalization committee that was made up of FIFA representatives who agreed that going forward, we should have a 2-term limit for our presidential position as far as the GFA is concerned. So why do we now do something that is against a committee's recommendation that is supposed to, as it were, sanctify our football? It means that we are just going back to the pre-2019 days, and it's shameful, it's embarrassing, it shouldn't have happened, and the football community should bow their head in shame.
But doesn't continuity having any positive that it could have on the football in this country and then in the larger space we play in the African continent?
Well, it's relative, and the circumstances really matter. As I said, based on the committee's recommendation, GFA in particular because of what transpired previously. The normalization committee that encompassed persons within our country and persons that are also from FIFA. It was based on their wisdom that they adopted the 2019 GFA statute that we should limit it to 210. And so I am surprised that the football community will go and do something that is untoward, that is different from what the normalization committee adopted in 2019, which is supposed to, as it were, make good our football. It's unfortunate. This shouldn't have happened. And I think that maybe going forward, we should also make sure that the person who also made this does not benefit from it. Maybe we can find a way to make the argument that if it is not individualistic, then retrospectively, I do not think that this should happen. So the one who made this should not benefit from that. Remind you, Keto Kreku was elected on the basis of the GFA statute, which is the 2019. So on that score, I do not think that he should be a beneficiary of what has happened, though it's shameful, but he should not be a beneficiary of it.
But you argue he should not be a beneficiary, yet over 91% of the entire association agreed. Why single him out? Because he did not impose that on them.
To an amendment of the Constitution. They have agreed to an amendment of the Constitution, not a continuation of Keto Kreku. So if Keto Kreku would want to, because of course, he and his people sent this amendment proposal to the FIFA. And FIFA, one way or the other, said that, well, they can do it. Of course, it is not supposed to be that, okay, because per the FIFA regulations and its rules, Infantino can go for 3 terms. It does not mean that other member countries will have to also do it 3 terms. I've said this a number of times, that if you look at the Kenya constitution, the Kenya football constitution, their limit is 2 terms, Article 34 or 37 or so, 2 terms. If you look at the Namibia football position, their limit is 2 terms. So, the argument that was even made initially that it is supposed to be in consonance with FIFA regulation is moot. It's not true. It cannot be the case. But of course, as I said, because there has been an approval of an amendment of the Constitution of the GFA statute, though I disagree, the one who made it possible should not also be a beneficiary. That is the only way that I'm going to feel that this was not made to, as it were, to entrench himself onto the position, or if you like, to immortalize himself as far as the presidential position is concerned.
Well, so how can we make this, work to the benefit of the football fraternity in this country? Yes, they've agreed to a 3rd term for a president. How do we make it work? Make sure that this will inure to the benefit of football in Ghana.
Well, it's going to be difficult, especially when the football community is not showing that goodwill. It's not thinking about Ghanaian football. I am thinking that even going forward, we should be able to have separate administrators that will take care of our local football, so that if you have a GFA president, at least a GFA president will be interested in something, or if you like, an aspect of our football, then we also have different aspects of administrators who also take care of our national teams and all of that.
But why are you saying they do not care about Ghanaian football? Because that's what they do.
But if they do, the decision that they made wouldn't have been a decision that they will make. Because why? Your football administration has been, as it were, tagged as one of the worst as far as football is concerned across the globe. And that is why Ghana was, as it were, Ghana was not seen as one of the football communities in 2018, 2019. We had a ban, if you remember. And after that ban, we said that let's make our football well. So the things that happened previously, that all of us decided, or all of us agreed, that cannot be a way for us to go. Why do we now go back to that same thing, that very same thing, just after 7 or 6 years? It doesn't show. It doesn't portray to the Ghanaian people that indeed we think about our football. It is wrong. It's suicidal. It shouldn't have happened. I do not think that is going to inure to the benefit of Ghana's football.
But we all say the football in Ghana now isn't the level it used to be. if you compare the Yantechi era, people even applaud that era for what they did. So if it worked, but for some challenges, and we can fix those challenges, why not revert to that system if it worked for us?
I do not think that if you want to make that comparison, that should be the way to go. I say so because the fact that people applaud Nyantachi's era cannot be attributed only to the fact that he won 3 terms. Mind you, Nyantachi did a lot of good things to our football in the first term. He did a lot of good things to our football in the second term. So I believe that whatever that you think you can do for our people in terms of football, you can do it in your first term and second term. Remember, when we went to the World Cup in 2010, Nyantachi was barely in his first term or second term, I think so, and which Ghana became an icon as far as the globe is concerned in terms of football. So I am just saying that in terms of administration of football, you don't necessarily have to be on it, or if you like, you don't necessarily have to immortalize yourself on the position before you can prove that indeed you're an administrator of good football or good football.
Grateful to you, but do stay with me. Let me bring in, Dr. Nyawe Tamaklo. He is a former GFA chairman who, before this Congress, also criticized the move strongly, describing it as quote unquote dangerous and asserting it would dismantle the democratic reforms initiated after the number 12 corruption scandal. Doc, I mean, you opposed this, but now it has been done. They've agreed to extend the term of a GFA president to 3 terms. How can we ensure that this inures to the benefit of football?
No, firstly, I think what has happened today must be a very shameful act from the FA. And also, I personally am very much disturbed because it appears people can joke with a constitution no matter what. Thirdly, these things are done for individual benefits. And that's exactly what has happened.
So, I mean, if that has happened, then you think it's a bad omen for football in Ghana. Is there any way, because Congress has approved it and you saw the numbers there, over 91%, what can we do? Do we have to live with it? If we have to live with it, how can we make sure that it benefits us?
Legally, this amendment could be challenged on several grounds.
Okay.
Procedural irregularity, failure to follow internal constitutional safeguards, breach of governance norms, and also contravention of FIFA's own expectations for fair and transparent administration. Now, if it's left unchallenged, this is a concerning precedent, threatening not just the foundations of football governance in Ghana, but the democratic principles we have worked so hard to entrench.
So, as you say, it can be challenged. Who can challenge this?
Well, the FA can be taken to court.
By who? Any ordinary citizen?
During my era, years ago, when late Kojo Bauredu was minister responsible for youth and sports, I remember I wrote a memo to him, and I suggested that all those who work in the FA must be elected, not appointed, even though I was appointed. Now, this memo got leaked, and then the then Executive Council, they went up arms against me. We went to court. I went to court. I took them to court at the High Court, and the first decision was given in my interest. That is, they can be taken to court. Now, the second point they quickly rallied around was to impeach me. And I got annoyed. I had a serious confrontation with the Benin minister.
Banredu.
Not Barredo, the one who succeeded him. Safo Mako.
Yes.
Yes. And I remember it was a serious thing. In the room at that time where Kwesi Yantechi, Fred Papo, Dr. Kofi Amua, they are all around. We can find out from them. I got and banged his door at the ministry, came back to my clinic, wrote a letter of resignation, and I resigned. That's all. Because these things are dangerous. We shouldn't forget that there are young people copying it. Why do people want to stay in power indefinitely? For what reason? Just to steal. I repeat, just to steal. Nothing else. So please, I personally am against it, and I'll always be against it. Because it took us years to be in this so-called democratic dispensation that we are today. Some of us have suffered. Some of us have suffered, both in jail and many other things. People like Kwame Pianin has been in prison for over 12 years just to get this democratic dispensation. I have spent 5 years of my life. So when I'm talking, I know what I'm talking about. To anybody who attempts to destroy the democratic dispensation we have, I personally will have to fight until I die. Because their intention is to rob, not to build anything. How do you need 12 years? If you are a good administrator, it will be seen within the first year or first 2 years.
As you say, you fight this. Should we take it that you then take this up to the court to battle this out?
No, of course, we'll go to the court first. And definitely, I know the courts will definitely look at it carefully. Because this is a constitution that has been written down. And we've gone through this. Indeed, it was because of the behavior of Kwesi Nyantakyi at that time, his attempt to have the third term, that brought him down.
But would you have a case when the Constitution mandates that Congress can take such a decision to extend the tenure of a president?
If the Congress can take such what? I didn't get you.
I'm saying that if the Constitution of the GFA mandates Congress to extend the tenure of a president, and that's what they've done, if you go to court, will you have a case?
That is exactly what I am against. It was done undemocratically. Look, if you want a constitution to be amended in that particular form, it must be a secret voting. Then people will really express their views. Not gather a group of people and ask them to raise their hands, and then you approve of having changed the constitution. No. I mean, these are people who don't understand the problems facing this sort of thing. These are some of the things that bring in soldiers to come and rule us.
Okay. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on
You're welcome.
today. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo is a former GFA chairman himself, and he says this is something that must be contested in court. I still have with me Vincent Ekwasifo, who is ranking on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth and Sport. So you heard there, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo says he is going to take this in court. Will he get any support from Parliament, your committee?
Well, it's possible. Anything that will avert the unconstitutional and unnecessary act, I think that I will lend my support to that. So I will engage him. He's like a father. I will engage him. And you see what we can do in that regard.
Vincent, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Vincent Ekosifwa is ranking member on Parliament Select Committee for Youth and Sports. This has been Top Story here on Joy 99.7 FM, also in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, on ATL FM in Cape Coast 100.5. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Remember, the Top Story is always brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you. That does it for Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
Small money day, big money day, where too much money day. Telecel Too Much Money promo drop. If you dial star 500 hash, then join them. For the Telecel Too Much Money promo inside, you will win 100 Ghana cedis cash for the daily draws, 20,000 Ghana cedis for the weekly draws, then 1.2 million Ghana cedis for the grand draw inside. That be 1.2 million Ghana cedis. You for just reload airtime, then get points with it make you win. Make you dial star 500 hash or go the Telecel Play App top. Then book inside riders give the Telecel Too Much Money promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo will be NLA way they regulate them for the Caritas Lottery platform top.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me da with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
When the current must flow, when the lights must stay on, you don't gamble with cheap wires.
You need safety and quality you can trust. That's why Ghana chooses Tropical Cable, the name that powers homes, builds cities, and drives industries. From low voltage cables to construction, mining, real estate, and homes, Tropical Cable is the #1 choice.
Tropical Cable is a proudly 100% Ghanaian owned cable manufacturer, the first to manufacture flame retardant low smoke cables in Ghana.
Flame retardant low smoke cables means Tropical Cables don't catch fire easily. Tropical Cable is also certified by Ghana Standard Authority, endorsed by Energy Commission, electricians and contractors in Africa.
Tropical Cable.
Top Preco.
No. You look so relaxed and cheerful these days. What's your secret?
No secret, Kofi. I just sorted out my retirement with Shield Pension Trust. You should talk to them.
Retirement? A small time before pension.
Sure. The earlier you start, the better. And Shield Pension Trust makes this so easy for you. They've got amazing plans to choose from. I even signed up for the Shield Cedi Crow a day personal pension scheme, which lets you save as little as 1 Ghana cedi a day towards your retirement. Isn't that great?
1 cedi a day.
Exactly. And the best part is, I sign up automatically on the Dachia Promoting Plan, which guarantees me medical insurance when I go on retirement.
Hey, you've convinced me. I need to sign up now.
Kofi is making a move to secure his future and health insurance when he goes on retirement. What about you? Go to Shield Pension Trust or call us now on 050-915-0253 and we'll guide you through securing your pension tomorrow. Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you.
Hello, good evening. 30 years of joyfulness. Welcome to Newsnight.
Well, the news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, live 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Coming up tonight, government takes on critics over its handling of the fatal helicopter crash that killed 8, insisting the search and rescue protocol was activated in good time.
There's no way you will drive from Kumasi to the site and it will take 4 hours. That's not correct. Mind you, Ghana is not an advanced country. But the resources that are within Ghana that have to be mobilized for this exercise, virtually all of them. Yeah. Or virtually all of them.
We have exclusive details of some of the last actions the occupants of the deadly helicopter crash.
Ambassador Inejekum could not answer the call. Later on, when he saw Dr. Sapol's call and tried to call back, what had happened had happened. Samuel Abuaje on the aircraft.
Also coming up tonight, President Mahama shares emotional details about the late Deputy National Security Coordinator, revealing his dislike for flying and that the fatal trip was his first public assignment since taking office just 2 weeks ago.
He was supposed to have gone by road, and he was not a person who liked to travel by air. But the information got to him late, and so he was told there was a helicopter going and there was space for him.
And coming up in business.
Well, senior finance lecturer Dr. Benjamin Amwa insists competition would force every bank to drop their lending rates in the coming days.
And in sports, GFA President Kenneth yet to decide whether to run for a third term after Congress approves the new presidential term limit.
Also tonight, Ghana's media landscape shakes up. 9 radio stations lose licenses. We'll hear from lawyer for Chairman Wontumi mounting a defense against suspension of license of 3 Wontumi radio stations as he insists all infractions are rectified.
We have received these letters seeking to suspend our operations, but we can also say that we have complied with all such requirements as NCA is seeking. We will show evidence of what we have done.
We have the latest of these and many other stories coming up tonight. You can send in your WhatsApp messages on our platform at 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
And this is where we begin tonight because government is pushing back against mounting criticism over its handling of the fatal helicopter crash that killed 8 individuals, including 2 ministers and 3 flight crew. Questions have been raised about whether authorities failed to act quickly enough to activate search and rescue protocols and reach the crash site in time.
But Chief Executive Officer for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Richard Ofori, says the military's emergency procedures were triggered immediately after the incident was detected, insisting that security agencies moved swiftly despite poor weather and difficult terrain. We'll hear from him shortly. First, listen to Imani Africa's Bright Simmons, who says there was a complete breakdown of Ghana's search and rescue framework, a blueprint for swift multi-agency action that, in moment of crisis, never came to life.
So we are looking more at either the emergency location transmitter or in some instances we call a personal locator beacon. But whatever be the specifics, there will normally be some device in the aircraft, in this case the helicopter, that will activate on crash. And that will send a signal on a dedicated frequency to a satellite network, a global satellite network. And that global satellite network will relay through mission control centers. And in Ghana, we have a rescue coordination center in Accra under the aegis also of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. So when they get this signal, they're supposed to notify all the contacts, key contacts in different institutions so that you can do a response. In the specific case of a military aircraft, if the ELT, and that's where the issues arrive, if our ELT protocol is not working, either because that device is not in the plane or there was some kind of fault in relaying that message to the satellite or whatever be the situation, a military aircraft would typically also have a PLB, which is a more local signaling device. Now, here is the issue. You remember that we have 2 main information in the public domain, 2 main categories of information in the public domain that is really critical. One is that we lost radar contact very early on when the aircraft left the base, heading towards the destination. And the second is that for many, many hours, there were no official respondents. These are matters that are in the public domain and have been well covered by the media. Now, once the contact was lost, the traditional protocol is that you have flight following and tracking. Somebody attempts to find the missing aircraft because the aircraft is not on the radar. And then in this case also, it hadn't arrived at its destination. So in those circumstances, this is where the beacon and the fact that you have last known point for loss of contact, as well as the flight trajectory, etc., means you activate a flight following protocol. Some other aircraft goes looking for this, and that is when then the beacon, the personal locator beacon, will scan for the frequency for the signal. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So all of this is dedicated in both the national manual as well as in terms of the protocol in the Air Force itself. So the question then was, when this incident happened, once we lost track of the aircraft on radar, once it became clear that it hadn't arrived at its destination, how was the flight following activated?
So,
and if the flight following was activated, how come they could not scan for the aircraft and then send first responders to the location?
Right.
So you have multiple failings on multiple grounds, is what I'm trying to say. So I've tried to get conclusive information from our sources, and the information that is being produced currently is not coherent. So it's very clear to me, because obviously we have to, compare that to what we all saw on TV, on social media, etc. And it's very clear that even if these systems existed, they were not activated. Because we know for sure, for instance, that the Ghana Air Force could not secure the site. We know, for instance, that other services in the military could not coordinate with the Ghana Air Force to contain the site. We know, for instance, that first responders arrive much later than the 1 hour response time that we have in the manual. So there are several elements of this. The second thing that is obviously very important is that the way that our Air Force bases are distributed, we've always known in the country that we have a missing gap in the center of the country. So even if we had activated, the speed of response obviously is not helped by the fact that we don't have within the middle belt of the country a base. We have a tactical command in Bui, but it has no aircraft. So this is something else that I also mentioned.
Right, so that right there is Imani, Africa's bright Siemens. We can now listen to Kumasi Mayor Richard Ofori Agyemang, who described as inaccurate assertions that the response was slow.
Every team, virtually every team member that had to be part of any evacuation or rescue exercise of that magnitude. The occurrence was at the Dampaya Forest Reserve. So the district officer managing the Forest Reserve in the Amansia area, Mr. Adolfo, was there with the rapid response team and officials. The NADMO team, headed by the regional head, was there on site. There were enough police and fire personnel there. There were immigration officers there. And Angogo team came with the appropriate equipment. The search, it was realized that all 8 had perished.
Right.
Now, he went there with the support of the regional security liaison officer and then the GOC to follow him up. Later on, the military got there just as I got there. Right. The rest of the military team together with the CO for 4
All right. Because for example, Kenneth retired First Obache is saying is that the 4BN, which is based in Kumasi, the deployment from Kumasi to the site, it took them 4 hours. So they got there around 2 p.m. And for him...
That's not true. Let me say that's not accurate. There's no way you will drive from Kumasi to the site and it will take 4 hours. That's not correct.
Okay.
I'm telling you that I come from Anyaso. The next town is Kojo Kwanta. It is after Kojo Kwanta that you turn right. And if you are coming with a normal vehicle without escort, it should not take you more than 1 hour, 30 minutes to get there. So when you have escort, I went with escort. When you have escort, it should not take you 1 hour, 30 minutes to get to the site. I am a native of the area.
Yes, of course. And I know, for example, between Kumasi and Obuasi, it's not even up to an hour.
No, so when you are going to the site from Kumasi, if you are going to go through Obuasi, you spend a lot of time. It is better you drive on the Obuasi and the Kumasi Cape Coast Road.
I mean, clearly, this was not something that you expected, but the national protocol in dealing with such incidents have come to play. And looking at the national protocol and what it says, do you really think that in terms of the handling of this matter by the authority, when I talk about authority, the Regional Coordinating Council, you think you lived up to expectation?
I think Ghana should commend my regional minister, and especially the Deputy Chief Executive for Adansia. For me, my regional minister and the team that handled this whole rescue exercise were top notch, given the circumstance and the availability of resource. Mind you, Ghana is not an advanced country, but the resources that are within Ghana that have to be mobilized for this exercise, virtually all of them, virtually all of them were mobilized. And then, again, the topography of the area also comes in mind. It is a fact that there were 2 aircraft stationed at the Kumasi airport.
Right.
And at one point in time, the regional minister on top of the hill was engaging with us, and we were also engaging with the military men command who were there.
Well, Kenneth, Richard Ofori also revealed that just minutes before the crash, the occupants were in contact with people on the ground, directing them to move vehicles from the original landing site to an alternative location.
Mind you, the weather was also not conducive. So if we had been told that the plane had a difficulty in landing at the Obuasi airstrip and the Ofori Stadium, for which reason it decided to hover and see if there could be a place to have safe landing, there's no way those of us there would advise that particular enclave, that particular area, when we ourselves in a forest area knew that the weather had not improved, we'll call for another aircraft to come there.
All right. Now, let's talk about the final moments. We understand that the plane initially wanted to land at a particular spot, but because of some things that made it difficult for it to do so, it was changed to another spot. Can you enlighten us on the communication that went on? Because we understand that there was communication between those on the ground and those who were on board.
Okay. So the whole of the Obuasi area is a forest belt. The whole of the Anansi area is a forest belt. When we enter into rainy season, it rains the Obuasi and the Itakwa area than any other part of this of the middle belt here, because of the ability of the forest to help in creating moisture and its attendant geographical repercussions or effects. Now, because of the environmental condition, we are all assuming the investigation has not said for a fact that they had a difficulty in landing because of bad weather. We are assuming, because we also have eyes to see when weather is bad, that it could not land because there was bad weather. The Obuasi airstrip is in the forest area. The Ofori Stadium is at Enyinem, in between Samjona Estate and Precious Estate, and there are trees all over. So when humidity is not conducive, you must know that it's going to happen. We don't know for a fact if it was because of bad weather. But then, on the aircraft, Honorable Dr. Samuel Sapo tried reaching Honorable Ohine Jokum. He called it just between the time that the incident occurred. Unfortunately, Ambassador Ohine Jokum could not answer the call. Later on, when he saw Dr. Sapo's call and tried to call back, what had happened had happened. Samuel Abuaje on the aircraft was able to reach the MCE for Obuasi, Honorable Fosulavapia Kenneth, to direct that his vehicle, which he keeps in Obuasi, should be sent to the Obuasi airstrip. And that when they were unable to land at the Obuasi airstrip, he again called Honorable Fosulavapia Kenneth to redirect the movement of his vehicle from the Obuasi airstrip to the Ofori Stadium. And that was the last head of it.
And that conversation did not explain the reason why they had moved from the original spot to the Ofori Stadium.
No. He was asking the MCE to move his vehicle because when from the Obuasi airstrip to Obuasi Township, If you don't have a vehicle parked by the airstrip, it will be difficult for you to come to a party house.
That's the Chief Executive Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Richard Ofori Ajiman Bwedi, in an extensive conversation with my colleague Elton Probe on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. Thankfully, we have him on the line again. Thank you very much, Mayor, for your time this evening. I'll come to the concerns about the delays, but there were communiques that were put out that the people who took things at the scene should return them. First of all, there were rewards that were going to be given to them. And then second, we heard that there was a deadline that was given that if they do not return them, they could be arrested if caught. Do we have any update on that?
Okay, so earlier on, let me say good evening to your listeners. Earlier on, when I spoke on their Pulse, I gave indication that there were some assignments that I was carrying out in respect of some family members of the affected victims. So I've not had time to meet my boss, the regional minister, to find out the status of those outcomes. But the regional minister himself has been on the ground, so I'm sure by the time I meet him when I'm able to this evening, I'll be able to find out if he has found anything meaningful.
Okay, Mayor, and then thank you for that clarification. But we want to find out the extensive explanation you gave to my colleague Elton Brobe on the Pulse earlier. Have you shared this information with the right authorities also?
Okay, so the investigation is ongoing. I'm sure in due course, all the actors in the executive process will speak to whoever had something to do with the rescue operations that we embarked on. But I wish Ghana would be celebrating my Honorable Regional Minister, the Dr. Frank Amakohene, and then the DC for Akofo for showing exemplary leadership and making sure that we were able, in whichever state, bring our compatriots to home so that we can give them a dignified burial.
So to be clear, is that to say that all the information you gave us on the Pulse, you've not communicated it to the rightful authorities?
Not all of them.
Why?
Those of us who went there and have attachment with them, for the first 2 days, if you ask me anything, I will not be able to speak. I'm a human being. Dr. Samuel Sapon is somebody that I call uncle. In the NDC here in the Ashanti region, he together with Ambassador Ohina Jekum, my mom, my late mother, Mr. Osei Mensah, PK Chubisiako, Professor Breed, and so Mr. Kofi Tobe, they were the foundation of the party in the region. So all of these men that I mentioned, I call them my uncles because my mother treats them as their brothers. And I eat from their homes. His children consider me as their eldest brother. In fact, when the incident happened, his children were outside the country were all trying to have information. So the person is close to me. And given what I have gone through, I will not be. I am now recovering somehow. The reason why I have decided to speak is the criticisms that people are giving to my regional minister, and then, for that matter, government, and then my knowledge of the human job that my regional minister did. And I feel we should be celebrating him and the Honorable DC for showing that kind of bravery, praising the storm in that difficult terrain.
Okay.
To get us where we are.
Mr. Farajman, you've mentioned that, of course, you are grieving, just like all of us are grieving, but it's been 6 days, and at least you've recovered a bit to be able to give this information to the media. Why don't you find it appropriate to also tell the appropriate authorities as well?
I'm saying the investigation is ongoing.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that the people in the flight were communicating with other people as well. Who were they communicating with? Can you tell us?
So one of the people who came to the site at the start of the rescue program is the Honorable MC for Obuasi, who is also very close to Honorable Samabwaji. And she gave us an indication of the kinds of conversation that had taken place prior to the incident taking place between herself and Honorable Abwadi in respect to her receiving direction from Abwadi to move his vehicle to the locations that I mentioned in the interview.
And since you've indicated that, of course, investigations are still ongoing, when should we expect you to furnish the authorities with all the information that you've given us as well?
I am a government official. We have to wait. We are trying to recover. We know who to speak to and what information to give them. There's some information that will not be ready to divulge in the media. So we know who to speak to. All I want to say is that on the side of government, what represented here in the Ashanti region, whatever that ought to be done within the circumstance that we find ourselves in as Ghanaians, not living in an advanced country, don't have the sophistication with which to embark on these kinds of exercises. We had everything that we needed to use for the operation, and everything that government ought to have provided for in embarking on this venture was provided. Virtually everything.
Well, thank you very much.
And if you think about the fact that when we realized that we needed to transport our compatriots, and we're able to, in a matter of 45 minutes, raise coffins, 8 from Obuasi to the site, the regional minister and the same should be commended.
Okay, thank you very much. Richard Ofori Ajiman Bwedu is the mayor of Kumasi. Pearl, we still have other persons on the line joining us for this conversation.
Of course, we have a security expert, Kenneth Festus Abuaje. Good evening. Thank you for your time on Newsnight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've had the account given by the mayor of Kumasi, Mr. Richard Ofori Ajiman. Are you satisfied with the responses he's been providing?
Well, as always, let me start by expressing very sincere condolences to the bereaved family and then to the entire nation. I need to clarify that I did not hear all the conversation. I heard only part of it. So I'm not able to determine the totality of what it is that he put out. But let me clarify a few things. When the Ghana Air Force gives a task order or tasking order, there is something we call aeronautical decision making. That remains the responsibility of the captain of the flight. So, his time of departure, the flight path, the altitude, everything relating to the flight after the task order is the responsibility of the captain. Any other thing is a suggestion. So before he left Accra, there was a proposed landing site, which I'm told was a lawn clay sports stadium. Now, if for some reason the authorities who were hosting the event thought that we should go to another location, the other location in Obuasi, the best one, would be the Ashanti Gold Airfield. But I don't know how far it is from this long clay, which was the initial landing site proposed. So the minister or the MC should have explained that maybe we said he should go to the Pentecostal Church Park or Methodist School Park or something. But nevertheless, he's suggesting that based on telephone conversation with my namesake departed they suggested an alternative place. The point I'm making is that the decision to go to that alternative place or not to go is what we call aeronautical decision making. That is the responsibility of the captain. Next thing is that, and what I'm saying is based on using the data that is out, departure time, flight paths, and other bits and pieces of information that I have, to plot the map or plot the path using AI tools and using flight and so on with, very expert retired Air Force officers. The impact site that we know now to be in the Dampier Range Forest Reserve is about 3 minutes to Obuasi or the landing site. 3 minutes. It's not 15 minutes. So nobody can tell whether the pilot got information and then decided to make a turn or to climb down or to go up or what. Nobody knows. That information will come.
Thank you very much, Kenneth Abuaji, for that insight. But before I allow you to go, is it not worrying that the Kumasi Mayor is providing details to the media instead of the investigating body?
That's precisely the question I asked when I was contacted. If I have any information at this stage, the preliminary investigation team must be the repository of all the information. But before I leave, let me say that a search and rescue or search and recovery, as the situation turned out to be, are not political decisions. They are professional military decision making. So this idea that the minister did well, this, that, in fact, exposes the minister of making decisions that he was not supposed to make. For instance, putting the bodies in sacks is not a political decision. It's based on medical advice. In fact, removing the bodies from where they have fallen is a forensic issue. But once you remove the bodies, it becomes very difficult to piece the investigation information together. So this idea that the minister was there and directed that we should put this one here and put this one there and carry them in sacks, it simply means that the minister was acting contrary to standardized search and rescue procedures and investigation procedures. And I need to make that point very clear.
Kenneth Abuaji would have to leave the conversation here for now. And Kenneth Abuaji is a security analyst. Kenneth?
Yes, it's now time for business, and the businessman is already here. George Rafi, what do we have?
Well, coming up in business, senior finance lecturer Dr. Benjamin Amwa insists competition will force every commercial bank to drop their lending rates in the coming days. An association of Ghana industries wants current economic gains sustained in next year's budget, whilst pushing for the current tax structure to be reviewed in the 2026 budget. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business.
Ma, have you received the delivery?
See, the rider's bay. Send in the momo.
Okay, *17.
Pow. Don't you use a smartphone? Use a momo app, ne?
Huh? App.
Hey, I want to say millennium, millennial. Inyim. Oh, millennium for ya nyaze. Switch to the app. Oh, you're smart. And oh, you're secure.
Enter a world of possibilities with the Momo app. Pay your favorite merchant, pay utility bills, and borrow from our wide range of lending services. Move to the app side today. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Ama, big news! Star Oil is now the largest oil marketing company in Ghana.
Wow, that's huge!
Yes, so the largest distributor of petroleum products in Ghana. Ever since I switched to Star Oil, my car runs smoother. The fuel lasts longer, no strange engine sound, just clean, powerful performance.
Oh, same here. I used to refill every 3 days until I switched to Star Oil. Now, my fuel lasts way longer. I don't know what magic is inside, but my car loves it.
Exactly. It's not magical. From Accra to Kumasi to Tamale, Star Oil day everywhere with 240 filling stations and counting. That's why more Ghanaians are choosing Star Oil.
Hey, my tank is almost empty. I am heading to Star Oil right now before the queue starts.
I'm right behind you, Amma.
We set out with a mission to set better and lead boldly. We're proud to say we are Ghana's #1 oil marketing company. To our loyal Star savers across the country, thank you for believing in us. Star Oil, quality and affordable fuels for all.
Cavity protection.
This advert is FDA approved.
Every mosquito standing run away. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, me se come tonton preko. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani sham ne die, demo stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, has revealed that competition may be enough to compel all commercial banks in the country to drive their lending rates. It follows concerns that not all the banks will respond to the significant cut in the policy rate and the Ghana reference rate. Dr. Amoah tells Joy Business the current development in the economy could put a lot of pressure on the commercial banks.
And if you look at the truth in lending, the proposition that Bank of Ghana is using now, once Bank of Ghana releases the MPC rate, it must be triggered into the Ghana reference rate, which was agreed by all the banks when this new pricing of loan was agreed some years back. And so the banks within this competitive space will find it very difficult to insist on a particular rate charge, which may appear to be higher than the anticipated move in terms of direction of the rate. And so it will be very difficult now for a single bank to, by itself alone, decide not to reduce the rate going forward, considering what the other banks will be doing. So definitely going forward, one expects that cost of borrowing should decline across all industry players in the.
A senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries is making a strong case for the current economic gains to be sustained in next year's budget. It's coming after the Finance Ministry announced that they have started taking inputs for next year's budget, which should be presented not later than November 15, 2025. Chief Executive of the Association, Chuma Kwabwa, tells Joy Business they want the government to come clear on reviewing the current tax structure.
So when the budget is ready, we'll be looking at those pointers. What are the indicators of macroeconomic stability? What will be the target for inflation? What will be the target for growth rate? What will be the target for policy rate? And all those indicators, we'll be looking forward to it. The second thing is that government has promised right from the beginning that the VAT regime will be reviewed. And even the midterm budget review, it was mentioned again that they are going to look at it. Specifically, the Minister of Finance mentioned that COVID levy will be taken out, NHI will be taken out. There will be general reduction in the VAT rate. There will also be the threshold reduction to reduce the burden on very small enterprises. We'd like to see all this in the budget. Again, we hear the big push. We know that the oil revenue has been seeded to push the big push agenda. We'll be very interested in knowing the prioritization because there are so many of them. How many of them are linked of the big push infrastructure? How many of them are linked to the productive areas? That will help have a multiplier effect on the economy.
Sir Chuma Kwabwa is the Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries. Now, private sector contributions is driving the significant growth of pension funds for last year. New data covering the sector showed that out of the more than 86 billion Ghana cedis funds that was realized for last year, private sector commanded more than 50% of that, whilst the government contributions made up the rest. The data also showed that there were some significant contributions coming from the tier 2 and 3 as well, due to the fact that the regulators are moving fast to ensure that there is compliance. Now, an economist, Dr. Edu Sarkodie, is asking government and the Bank of Ghana to do more to show up the central bank's gold reserves. It's coming after the central bank announced that these reserves has reached more than 34.4 tons ending July this year. The Sarkodie says that looking at Ghana's peers, we may have to up our game.
Last year, we produced 130 tons of gold in Ghana. In South Africa, they produced 100, yet Ghana has a holding of 31 as at last year, and South Africa has 125 tons of gold holdings or reserves. Let's go to the whole world. Mexico, Ghana, and Kazakhstan all produced 130 tons of gold last year, and yet Mexico is holding 125 tons of gold. Kazakhstan is holding 382 tons of gold. Uzbekistan, which even produced lower than Ghana, they produced 120 tons last year. They are holding 367 tons of gold. So Ghana's 34 is woefully inadequate. I must say that I commend the efforts by the previous government and the current government for trying to hold more reserves. But the point I'm making is that based on our capacity, based on what we have been producing, based on our potential, we can do better.
An economist, Dr. Edu Owusu Sarkodie. Now, total volume of shares traded on the Ghana Stock Exchange reached record levels for last month. New data for the month of July from the stock market showed that more than 300 million shares were traded, valued at 1.7 billion Ghana cedis. Now, this represents more than 1,000% increase with respect to what was traded in the previous month. The development showed that activities on the market has indeed picked up strongly over the past 5 months. And that's all for business on News Night. Let's do sports and a lot of issues trending in sports.
Yeah, well, the Ghana Football Association has approved an amendment to its statutes extending the presidential term limit from 2 to 3 terms. The decision was taken at the association's 31st Ordinary Congress held in Pram Pram earlier today. 114 out of 124 members present voted to extend the term limit of the presidency. 3 members abstained while 6 voted against the proposal. Now, GFA President Keto Kriku, addressing the press after Congress, says he's yet to decide whether to run for a 3rd term.
No, firstly, I think what has happened today must be a very shameful act from the effort. And also, I personally am very much disturbed because it appears people can look with a constitution no matter what. Thirdly, these things are done.
At the minute, almost 2.5 years to serve the Ghanaian game. And when it comes to that time, I'll make a decision. Just like many other people who are eligible to make a decision and contest. Okay? So this should not be a topic for us. What should be a topic is how we handle the new wind that is blowing around our domestic game, the high level of investment that the FA has worked to bring it to a reality, and how well our clubs can respond to our current situation in our attempt to develop the Ghanaian game.
Your GFA President Keto Kriku speaking there now. Heart to Folk Board member Dr. Nyawu Tamaklu has slammed Congress's decision to increase the presidential term limits, describing it as shameful.
No, firstly, I think what has happened today must be a very shameful act from the effort. And also, I personally am very much disturbed because it appears people can look with a constitution no matter what. Thirdly, these things are done for individual benefit, and that's exactly what has happened. And legally, this amendment will be challenged on several grounds.
You're the crowd, so Folk Board member Dr. Nyawu Tamako speaking there. Bring that into sports. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel. We're still grieving the loss of the 8 gallant heroes who sadly passed away last week. And President John Dramani Mahama has revealed that one of the victims of Wednesday's helicopter crash, Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Lumuna, had a dislike for air travel, stating that he was originally scheduled to travel to the Ashanti region by road. Speaking during the final funeral rites for the late Deputy National Security Coordinator, President Mahama also disclosed that the event Muniru was attending was his first official assignment since his... Now, President John Mahama has revealed that one of the victims of Wednesday's helicopter crash, Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Lumuna, had a dislike for air travel, stating that he was originally scheduled to travel to the Ashanti region by road. Now, speaking during a final funeral rites for the late Deputy National Security Coordinator, President John Dramani Mahama disclosed that the event Muniru was attending was his first official assignment since his appointment 2 weeks ago.
For me, I say, where am I going to get a replacement for him? Because he was virtually my personal assistant. You could call Muniru at 1 a.m. in the night and tell him, Muniru, go to Yendi or go to Damango. He won't hesitate, he won't wait till morning. He will set off that same night and go and perform the errand that you have sent him to perform. When we were making appointments, his appointment was among the last. And people kept asking, why is it that Alhaji Limona is closer to you and you've not given him an appointment yet? And I told him, when you're sharing food in the house, you serve the strangers first before you serve the family members. So he should exercise patience. 2 weeks ago, we appointed him Deputy National Security Coordinator in charge of human security. And this was virtually his first public assignment where he was selected to represent national security at the corporate, responsible and cooperative mining program. He was supposed to have gone by road, and he was not a person who liked to travel by air. But the information got to him late, and so he was told there was a helicopter going, and there was space for him. And he boarded the helicopter, and that was to be his last journey. But like we say, it says God gives, and God takes.
Well, Kenneth, that's not all. The president also announced the creation of a dedicated fund to cater for the children of the 8 who died in the helicopter crash.
What we have to do is to work even harder in their memories, because all of them were key champions of the reset agenda that we are pursuing as a government. So the reset agenda must be successful in their memory so that their deaths would not have been in vain. It's a difficult calamity because if you look at all those who died, they were at the prime of their lives and had so much responsibility. Children still in school, and some even with infants as young as 2 months. The pilot's child he has a child 2 months old. These responsibilities are what we have to take up to make sure that the absence of the parents does not adversely affect the innocent children. We'll do a state funeral on Friday the 15th for all of them. And at the funeral, we will announce some program for creating a fund that will assist with the education of their children. And so on Friday, I'll announce the details of that so that persons who want to contribute for the future of the children they've left behind would have the opportunity to do so. I know if it was judging by the 5 pillars of Islam and its observance, Alhaji Limona will be in our agenda. We all know he was a very devout Muslim. Anytime I called him and he didn't pick the phone, I didn't bother because I look at the time and I realize he'll be in the mosque praying. As soon as he comes out of the mosque, he calls me. And the first question I ask, have you finished praying? He said, oh yes, Mr. President. And so I believe that Allah will have mercy on him, forgive him all his sins, and accept him into our agenda. And so let's all take heart, and may God bless.
So you have President John Dramani Mahama, and Kenneth, leader of the new force, has also been speaking.
Exactly. That's Nana Kwame Bediako, who has called for national unity in the wake of the tragic military helicopter crash that claimed the lives of the Defense Minister Edward Omani Buama and 7 others. Kwame Bediako made the remarks during a condolence visit to the family home of the late minister in Accra, where he addressed the media and mourners gathered, describing the incident as a Black Wednesday.
It was a Black Wednesday on the 6th of August. I pray to God that this should not repeat itself in this country. But for all the youth, the leaders, the ministers, the parliamentarians, the bishops, the workers, civil servants, and people of this nation, the farewell and the purpose of us being here is to serve our country, serve the people, and to build it and make it a better place. But for 8 people to have lost their lives just for doing their national duties, I don't know what we can say to bring these spirits back. But I just want to encourage the nation, the country, that we have to continue the mission, the vision of our leaders, of our fathers, whatever that we need to do to make our country a better place.
Now let's bring you some other stories. On lawyer for Chairman Wontumi, Andy Apiakubi, is mounting a strong defense for the NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman after the National Communications Authority suspended the licenses of 3 Wontumi-owned radio stations. The suspension was due to alleged regulatory breaches, including operating without a valid certificate of compliance and unauthorized use of studio-to-transmitter link frequencies.
And this followed the expiration of a 30-day grace period granted by President John Mahama for defaulting stations to rectify the infractions. Exactly 2 months ago, the Minister for Communications, Sam George, threatened to shut down 62 media houses listed for various infractions, including operating without valid license and non-renewal of licenses. Listen to Sam George make the announcement on the floor of Parliament on the 12th of June 2025.
It's been a mixed bag for me. When the incident happened, I mean, I was distraught, but we still had a responsibility to the state. I got a call with the videos that started circulating. The unfortunate situation is most of them were circulating on WhatsApp. And WhatsApp is a platform that is not controlled by any country. It's a private business. I was faced.
Mr. Speaker, a few minutes ago, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President, directed that the Ministry of Technology and Innovation work with the regulator, the NCA, to allow all the affected radio stations some additional time to correct the identified breaches within a defined time frame. Those who fail to do so shall have their authorizations formally revoked under the law. In line with this directive from His Excellency the President, the Ministry and the NCA have granted a further 30-day grace period to all defaulting entities. Mr. Speaker, this is not the same as the arbitrary revocations and hefty fines imposed under the previous administration. As the current government, the Ministry has also been instructed to waive all the applicable fines that should have been applied to the defaulting entities. Mr. Speaker, since morning, I have received calls from colleagues on both sides of the aisle, notifying me that some interests they may hold have been affected by the ongoing exercise. Dear honorable colleagues, we passed the laws and have a high bar set for ourselves as honorable members of this august house. We need to lead the way with exemplary conduct. As a ministry and regulator, we are status agnostic and will be fair to everyone irrespective of ethnic, religious, political, or social affiliation.
That's the Communication Minister, Sam George, when he appeared before the floor of Parliament on the 12th of June 2025 to put the matter before the House Pearl.
Well, Kenneth, 2 months on, the minister is cracking the whip on 9 of these radio stations, including 3 Wuntumi radio stations, which we just learned, as he has announced the suspension of their licenses. Now we'll hear from lawyer for the owner of the stations, that's Chairman Wuntumi, and the appeal could be shortly. But first, my colleague James Aveji joins us in the studio with the NCA statement. James, the NCA categorizes these 9 stations into 2 for various offences. Tell us about the first 2.
Well, Pearl, the first 6 stations, according to the NCA, quote, failed, refused and neglected calls to comply with the regulatory amnesty by taking no action after that announcement we just heard. And according to them, consequently, the operations of their licenses have been suspended, and they include Dom Plus Multimedia Limited 105.9 in Ho, Dreams Ghana Media Limited 104.9 in New Ibrim, Jam Multimedia Limited 101.3 in Kintampo, Joel Group Limited 102.7 in Doyo Nkwanta, as well as Pandai Star Community Radio 107.3 in Pandai, and Unique Gateway Communications Limited 105.7 in Nkoko.
Now, what are the specific infractions by the Wuntumi radio stations, James?
The NCA statement says, whereas many of the violating stations took steps, 59 of them, to remedy breaches during the amnesty period, 3 stations, which are the Wuntumi stations, failed to do so, and they are Wuntumi Multimedia Limited 95.9 in Accra, Wuntumi Multimedia Company Limited 101.3 in Kumasi, as well as 101.3 in Takrady. And so that's the basis for which they have decided to withdraw the licenses of this 9, including the 3 Wuntumis.
Thank you very much, James Aveji, with excerpts of that statement from the National Communications Authority.
And let's go onto the telephone lines and speak to Andy Apiakubi, who is the counsel for Chairman Wuntumi, whose radio stations have unfortunately been shut down. Thank you very much for your time tonight. First, I want you to confirm to us, are all 3 stations currently on or off air?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Apiakubi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you now.
Confirm to us or otherwise. If
let me correct you before I take up your question. I'm currently for Wuntumi Multimedia Company Limited. And I'm responding to this interview in that capacity.
Very well.
Right. Yes, all three platforms have been suspended, as you know. And we are taking steps to respond to the letter sent to companies. What I can say now is that we have complied with the expectations of the law and the request that they sent to us, except that we suspect that there has been some communication gaps that has created this inconsistency.
Well, Mr. Piakubi, you were given a grace period. Why were you not able to meet that? Hello, Mr. Piakubi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
One of the issues has to do with the inspection of the site of the. We have finished with the corrections they proposed, except that we have also invited them to come and conduct the inspection. And we have even paid to facilitate the inspection. And it requires that NCA gives us the date and time that they will conduct the inspection. We have fulfilled the obligations directed to us, and that we are expecting NCA to also undertake their part of the bargain. So we have fulfilled for the inspection of the facility.
You've mentioned that you're taking some steps to rectify this issue. What steps are those?
We're taking a meeting with them and to reconcile the two positions. As we say that we have fulfilled the requirement, as they say that they have not seen us fulfill it, we will see to fill the gap so that whoever has not taken cognizance of performance will so do.
All right, thank you very much. Andy Apiakubi speaks for Wontumi Communications, is their counsel there. And Pearl, that ends it for Newsnight tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Pearl Ofori.
But before we go, though, Adobia, the beautiful Adobia, is in the studio with Gig Squad. Adobia, what are we talking about today? The iPhone?
No, not at all. We want to talk about social media and the sharing of sensitive information. I mean, something happened just a few days ago, and we see that there's a need to talk about it on our show and how best people can just know what to share at what time, basically.
I'll be monitoring.